Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Ageless Energy show. Today, I'm talking about how to stay on track during Easter weekend. So, stay tuned for that. If you have any questions below, if you're watching live, let us know in the comments. If you're not watching live, we will certainly do our best to come back and answer those questions that you have afterwards. But um, just to wrap up the week, it was a crazy week. We did really well. We did last week was our launch. Those of you may or may not have saw that. So we do definitely have a replay. We're going to post here in this group, but that went out to for emails and our newsletters first. We're certainly trying to grow those platforms because being locked into just one social media platform isn't the best insurance for your business. So, at any rate, we were still wrapping things up this week. So we will launch last week. It was absolutely bonkers, and then this week here we were still catching up with orders and getting organized. And probably for the past 2 weeks, we put a lot of things off to the side that we're trying to catch up with this week. So all that being said, you guys are still gonna have to wait for your winners for the launch specials or the launch prizes that we offered. We'll do that early next week. We actually gave our team this today off. We gave them a short week because the last 2 weeks were bonkers. Last week in particular, everyone was exhausted, so I wanted to give them a short week to look forward to and enjoy the long weekend. So anyways, that's a quick recap of where we're at and what we're doing. Thank you guys so much for your support and for if you showed up to the live or watched the replay or bought product. It was absolutely amazing, more than we could have imagined. So thank you so much for that. Let's get into our main topic. We're going to talk about Easter tips and staying on track. If you're new here or not sure who I am, my name is Drew Tadia, founder and CEO of True Form Life. For the past 20 years, we've been helping women 40 plus to help them increase energy, burn body fat, and balance hormones. So if that's you, you're in the right place. I like to do these like this is our private group, more public, but we do have a membership group that's called our Metabolism Accelerator System. And this is kind of another training for them that we open up to you guys. So I'll be thinking about our members as I go through these tips to help them and you stay on track, to help you have a successful long weekend. What we did inside of our Metabolism Accelerator private community is we have a challenge going on. So if you are watching, I don't see comments for some reason, so I'm not sure who's in here or if anyone's in here, but let me see if I can refresh. Oh, here we go. Sometimes I have to refresh to see comments. Good morning, Sandy. Sharon's in here. Tracy's in here. Sandy's in here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Any questions, drop them below. So if you're not in any type of program where you can offer a challenge, I would suggest trying some type of challenge, especially during times like this, because that's my number one tip, because it's really hard to stay on track. But like for us, we're trying to think of ways to keep our members motivated, inspired, and moving forward. So we do have a $250 coupon for our product incentive for the winner. And then we have tasks or suggestions of what they're going to be doing to stay on track, from hydration to posting pictures of their food, etc. But that'd be a great idea for you guys, is to go into the weekend knowing or planning to stay on track. And I guess that could be my tip number two, is that if you are planning on not staying on track or not planning on staying on track, it's going to be pretty difficult um, not to continue to see results this week. And maybe that's not your goal. Maybe your goal is to maintain, or maybe your goal is simply to enjoy time with friends and family. But just understand, like it's really it's a constant challenge. It's a constant struggle. Like our society isn't set up for success. Certainly not when it comes to health and wellness. With the fast food and horrible ingredients and toxic supplementation, like it's endless. So if you go into Easter weekend and you're like not really going to put in much effort in, you're probably going to gain a couple pounds. And that's just how it goes. And then, of course, there's other holidays and there's vacations and it's endless. So if you don't start taking control of your holidays, for lack of a better term, and planning properly, it's going to be a lifelong struggle of you trying to stay on track. And what we're trying to do is help you look at a sustainable lifestyle change and what does my lifestyle look like, so during holidays or vacations or birthdays it's not a free-for-all and it's 1999 spring break. So consider that, understand like what it is that you're trying to get out of the weekend. Like, I just want to talk about weight, for example, for a second, because everyone wants to talk about weight. If you do a good job of staying on track, getting your workouts in, following a meal plan, a good week is dropping a pound. And a lot of times we are used to the biggest loser or fabricated social media posts, videos, write ups, and people are expecting like 3, 5, 7 pounds in a week. Sure, we've seen that. Is it normal? No. Is it sustainable? Of course not. So if you go into Easter weekend and you have no intention of staying on track, and if you do stay on track, it's going to be a pound, let's say. There's no way you can get through the weekend without gaining a couple pounds. And just think about that. Maybe you just worked the last 3 weeks to drop 2 or 3 pounds. And then you're going to take one weekend and eat whatever you want and do all the things you probably shouldn't be doing, or at least that you don't regularly do. And and then you're going to gain that back, and then you're going to be frustrated, and you're going to yo-yo diet, and then you're going to say, hey, what am I doing wrong? I'm working so hard during the week. But then a weekend comes up, and you know you're not staying on track. And a holiday comes up, and it's a free-for-all. Like, that's just a vicious, perpetual cycle of madness that you're putting yourself through. So you really got to dig in and come up with better solutions during times like this. That's probably a good segue into the next step of, if you're like hosting in particular, I would suggest hosting if you can. Sure, food is expensive without question. You could consider asking friends and family to bring a dish. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that should be encouraged, especially with the food prices. But if you're hosting, you have more control of what's being prepared. And if you're hosting, it's usually at your house, so there's maybe less negativity, less temptation. You can control the environment a little bit better. I suppose the caveat to that is, if you go to someone else's house, you can show up when you want and you can leave when you want, which is what I would suggest. Sometimes people dig in for the weekend for a couple days, or early morning to late evening. And that's a full day of appetizers, drinks, desserts, etc. It's not really setting yourself up for success. Setting a time frame of a few hours, or whatever that looks like for you, is probably a good idea. But it's really going to depend on you and your family. But digging in for a full day or weekend, if you know it's going to be an environment where it's full of temptation, it's probably not the best idea. I would look at supplementation. That's probably my next tip, is properly supplementing to make sure you're staying on track. Like, let's say, for example, you look at magnesium. Magnesium is a really good way to help protect your digestive system, to help your nutrients absorb, help it break down. There's so many benefits. You could look at immune system. Um, just starting out with that in the morning would be a good idea. When you activated charcoal would be my next one. It's should be your best friend at this time, because it absorbs toxins, flushes them out through bowel movements. But often those toxic substances just accumulate in our body. And I really feel like that's where our fat cells accumulate, because our body doesn't know how to burn it off, doesn't digest it, doesn't absorb it, so it's stored. And actually, if you put certain toxins in your body, when your body doesn't know what to do with it, it'll store fat cells around it to protect your body from it, because it's like, what is this foreign substance? I don't know what to do with it. And then you have those types of people that unhealthy diet, sedentary lifestyle, no detoxing ability, and it's just an unhealthy being, and I would suggest activated charcoal. So if you're going to drink alcohol, activated charcoal before. If you're going to have deep fried food, activated charcoal before. Certainly afterwards. So anytime, even like we have activated charcoal, even if we have a huge meal. If I know I'm going to have a big meal and that food might be difficult to digest, like a pasta meal, for example. Like I'm not really used to pasta. I really love it. I'm a big fan, but it's not like you can tell when a food, how can you say, your body enjoys the food you're putting in it, right? Like usually a salad, like we are having a taco salad week, and it's one of my favorites. But I feel like we could eat that all day, every day. We try to reframe ourselves because we don't want to get tired of it. But every like after I did taco salad, I feel fantastic afterwards. After I eat a big bowl of pasta, don't feel fantastic afterwards. Feel a little bit lethargic. I feel like I got a belly or a bloat. So in that case, I have activated charcoal after because I know that will help with my digestion, and that's something you guys should consider during the weekend, during this uh, holidays. Those are the two main ones I think. There's a couple. I mean, there's a couple other ones. Like if you're not going to get your veggies in, you should probably look at greens. We have spirulina and chlorella. It's definitely a good idea. But make sure you're looking at not just supplementation, but make sure you're looking at foods as well. Like fermented foods are a good idea. So you can have kombucha, for example. You can, if you're not going to make your own, which you don't have to, of course, you can buy it at the grocery store. You can drink kombucha throughout the day. You can drink kombucha before, after. Um, it's really nice. We're going to my mother's for Easter, and she almost always has kombucha there for us because she knows we enjoy it, and our little guy enjoys it, and it's good for digestion. And if you're gonna go into a weekend and you know you're gonna eat a big meal or a few big meals, having something like you can look at, so that's just kombucha. You can look at raw sauerkraut. Miso is probably a stretch at this time. You might look at kimchi is tough, but I really like sipping on chicory root tea, and that's something you can consider like in the evening. So if you know you're going to stick around, if you know the desserts are going to be around, have chicory root tea, and it's really good for digestion as well. It's fermented, and then that should help you get on track. When you're looking at your plate, I would suggest starting with the things that you may not necessarily want. Maybe that's not the best. Maybe that's not the best way to put that. But I'm thinking like, so for example, hey guys, sorry, I don't know why comments aren't coming up, but Rhonda says, good morning, True Form. Good morning to you, Rhonda. Deanne says, happy Easter to you and the family. Happy Easter to you guys too. Sam's in here, Cheryl's in here. Thanks, guys. Nice to see you. Nice to see friendly faces and names pop up. A couple other, a couple other comments here, and I'll let you guys go. So I would suggest like a full plate of salad first. Like you have sometimes there's different types of salads. I'd have a big salad first. Like that's what you're gonna eat first before you move on. A lot of times we're starving, so we're like we hit the roll. There's probably appetizers first, right? Like deep fried appetizers. Then you hit the rolls with butter, and then you have your potatoes with gravy. Like of course, I mean I think we all know those are carbs, so carb heavy. And then you're so full you might have a little bit of turkey, and then there's dessert, right? Maybe a little bit of veggies, but who's really going for the veggies first? Right. So I would suggest the veggies, the fiber, maybe there's sweet potatoes there. That will actually help you break down and digest foods. But it's definitely important to make sure you're getting a well balance. So we teach the 4 macros. That's how we live. That's how we've seen the best results. And that's a lot of people like macros. What is this? It's like a fancy word for food groups. That's it. It's antioxidants or fiber, which most forget about because the calories are low and you don't see like a protein content or a carb content. But antioxidants for helping fight free radicals, for digestion, for immune system. There's tons of vitamins and minerals in vegetables that many people miss. So we're like, oh, we just have steak and potatoes. Or what are you having tonight? Roast and probably potatoes, right? Or it could be rice. But you have to have the veggie there because it balances your um, macro consumption of what we should be doing to get a well balance of the nutrients that I feel you should be having. Then you have your protein, you have your complex carbs, and then you have your fats. So those should all be included in your meal. So make sure when you're going to your most likely a buffet. Looks like a couple other people are coming in on the day off. It's like a ghost town in here. There's nobody there's nobody here at the office. I gotta tell you, I love being here on like a holiday or when no one's here because like on the weekends, it just makes me feel like I get a leg up when everyone else is sleeping in, or it's quiet, so there's isn't any interruptions. It's not gonna be a full day for me. I'm gonna work for uh, a few hours and then go spend some time with the family. But so balance your four macros, and then understand. Here's a tip that a lot of people don't realize is that you don't have to drink alcohol if you don't want to. If you want to drink alcohol, activated charcoal, moderation, drink some water. I don't have any special tips that are going to help with that. But when it comes to when I started to transition away from drinking, and I don't, it's not that I never drink, have a beer once in a while, it's just not part of our lifestyle anymore. But when I started to transition away and everyone would have like a beer or a glass of wine, I felt like almost obligated, like I should have one or I have to have one or people would judge me. And it's not like that. I haven't found that. Most people don't care. They're just worried about themselves. So you don't have to feel like you need to have an alcoholic beverage if it seems like everyone else is. So understand that when you're sitting down and whether that's appetizers are coming out or it's everyone's having a glass of wine at the dinner table, you can say no thanks. And then the last one here is desserts is you can have a dessert. Like it's not like we don't teach deprivation or lack and all the things you can't have. If you want to have some dessert, like have a piece of dessert, but just be reasonable about it. Don't have a dessert bigger than the meal you had, and you don't go back three times to have your desserts. And then the last part of the dessert is let go of the guilt. Like I said, I'm gonna have a dessert. I had a dessert, and then move on. Like don't the detriment from guilt is worse than actual eating it. So you beat yourself up for hours after, maybe days, because you had this dessert and it wasn't that big a deal. A lot of times I hear from our members and clients, and I'll say, had things go, and oh my gosh, it was so terrible. And I'm like, well, explain. Like, I completely sabotaged myself. I'm like, well, what happened? And then they tell me what happened. They followed our tips. They did a pretty good job. Then they had like this little tiny piece of pumpkin pie with whipped cream. And I'm like, so what's the problem? Like, where did this disaster come in? Like, well, I had the dessert. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Have the dessert. Enjoy the dessert. Like, we don't teach you have to live like a diet and you never cheat. Like, live your life, enjoy yourself, have a piece of pie if you want to have pie, but get up and work out the next day or eat your food and get up and walk around. Don't lay on the couch scrolling through your news feed for the next 3 hours. There's many things that you can do. Have your kombucha, have your activated charcoal, do all the things and enjoy yourself. And you can still spend time with friends, and you can still spend time with family, and you can still have a glass of wine, and you can still see results. You can have your cake and eat it too. So, anyways, I'm gonna wrap things up. Hopefully that was helpful. Thank you guys for joining live, and happy Easter. Have a wonderful Easter weekend. To everyone out there, thank you for your support. Thank you for being here with us and for us, and we hope we can do the same for you. Take care, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.